Mohammed Shehada is the Chief of Communications at the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor. He joins us now live from Copenhagen. Thank you so much for your time. Now, what do you make of this news? This must surely be a huge sense of if nothing else, validation for the people of Gaza that the world is finally taking notice.
It's actually validation of the international legal system. The international community is the one that's been on trial for the last year, observing and watching idly a genocide that is live streamed, televised, well stuffed with a mountain of evidence where you have the criminals bragging every day and filming their own crimes and posting it for all to see. It is quite unprecedented. I'm very happy that the court has come to its senses and chose a principled position despite a huge Israeli campaign of intimidation, lobbying, threats, smears, etc.
And this was a question I was just about to ask our TRT correspondent in studio, but I'll ask it to you. What do you think the real world effect of this decision of the International Criminal Court to issue arrest warrants for both Benjamin Netanyahu and the former defence minister, what difference will it make for people on the ground?
Well, basically the world has become right now a lot smaller for Israeli war criminals. Now there's about 125 countries that are flagged red for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallan to ever step a foot on. Even if he were to land there as an emergency landing or as a transit, they are obliged to arrest him at first sight. And it sends shockwaves in Israeli society, in the political and military establishment. A lot of Israeli ministers and generals are going to be terrified of stepping foot in these 125 countries because of the possibility of unannounced arrest warrants, or actually local authorities using the arrest warrants against Netanyahu as precedent to arrest Israeli officials, military generals, ministers, high-ranking officials as well, and interrogate them for possible war crimes. There is also, in practice, this court announcement is a huge slap in the face of the complicit Biden administration, of basically letting Israel off the hook, covering it up every single time for them, and only last week denying that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war and claiming falsely that Israel was complying with Biden's 30-day ultimatum, despite every single international humanitarian organization that's working in Gaza issuing a statement saying that Israel failed to meet all these requirements. It's also a wake-up call to European countries like Germany, where you have Olaf Scholz, the German chancellor, claiming that Israel is in compliance with international law and did not commit war crimes in Gaza. This is a huge slap in their faces as well.
And what do you think the response is going to be from the Prime Minister? He's currently in peace talks with Amos Hochstein in Tel Aviv, talking about potentially a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. What do you think his response to the news of his arrest warrant being issued will be?
The immediate response is that the court is anti-Semitic. There is a conspiracy out there to get him and get Israel, and this delegitimizes Israel, and he will make his own survival synonymous with the survival of the Jewish people. Basically, the other thing is that he assassinated one by one the Hamas leaders that were supposed to be also invoked by the court for arrest warrants as well, Ismail Haniyeh and Yahya Sinwar. So now he will claim that the court is disproportionately targeting Israel instead of Hamas after having assassinated them. The other dimension of the importance of this arrest warrant is that basically it creates a dilemma for Israel to move forward in terms of ending its occupation. If the world is willing to use it as a proper lever of pressure, basically the court can cancel these arrest warrants if Israel engages in and ends its apartheid system that it imposes on the occupied Palestinian population. This is the only way out for them at the moment.
Will it have that effect on him, do you think, though, especially given the imminent arrival of Donald Trump in the White House? I mean, is this going to have a real effect on, as you say, he will put whatever spin he needs to on this decision to issue his arrest warrant. Do you think it will change the course of the war, especially given the election of Donald Trump?
Well, basically, specifically because of the election of Donald Trump, who's been convicted, indicted in court in the US on dozens of criminal counts without ever facing consequences, Netanyahu will pull the exact same stunt of saying, I'm trying here to defend you as an Israeli society, and I'm fighting the whole world for your sake. Whether this will translate into boosting his popularity or the other way around is yet to be seen. We've seen, for instance, when Netanyahu assassinated Hassan Nasrallah or Ismail Haniyeh or Yahya Sinwar, his popularity did not actually translate into a significant increase in the mandates in any future elections in Israel for the Likud party or the ruling coalition. So it is yet to be determined. But it is the most likely outcome is that the US will also jump on board and say we reject this biased ruling, and they will provide cover for Netanyahu to be able to move around to different countries, India, for instance, or other countries that are not members of the ICC. And the only outcome is that he would have to avoid the entirety of the European continent.
That is Mohammed Shehada, the Chief of Communications at the Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor, joining us live from Copenhagen. Thank you so much.